Hi guys, it's the Breakdown Rugby Podcast, and we're back today with another YouTube video. Today marks the start of our run to the World Cup, looking at teams and their chance of winning the World Cup. Today we are starting with what I personally would consider a dark horse for this competition, England Rugby. Of course, they haven't had the easiest year so far, but how do we think they're looking in terms of making a bid for the 2023 World Cup?
Yep, so we're starting with England, swing low, sweet chariot, and hopefully they win this World Cup. But saying that, the last performance they have had is in the Six Nations, and that's all we have seen of them. So going forward, we need to really start seeing England nail down a structure. But hopefully they have a very good easy run to the final. But let's get into it, Brown.
Yeah, well, for me, you look at teams that perform well at World Cups. We all know World Cups is very different to normal rugby. England are probably one of the best teams at World Cups. They're always in and around the final spot. And not to mention the run that they have is a lot easier than the teams that I consider better than them. So, yeah, I think they have a good chance of getting into the semis.
England definitely have a young, exciting team, and it's one that I think is filled with a lot of experience as well. So breaking it down, let's go straight into the pool stages. What are their chances at the pool stages with Argentina lurking in their pool?
They don't. If we're going to be realistic right now, that there's no chance they beat Argentina. Lost to them last autumn. Barely beat, I think, a mediocre Scottish side at Twickenham. I understand England's history and the history they have behind the team, but there is nothing to suggest that there should be any confidence to back them over Argentinian team that nearly beat the world champions that beat Australia at home. I think England will beat Japan and come second in that group stage and look to have a quarterfinal game against Australia. That's the most likely outcome, I think, for England.
To be honest, I see where you're coming from there. Like the most recent time we played Argentina, we did lose, I think, by 1 point maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
One to 3 points.
Close,
Yeah.
very, very close game. But at a World Cup, when we're talking about the rugby is different. You've got players there like Farrell, Ben Youngs. The experience is there. Pool stage rugby against Argentina, I'd back us to win and top our pool.
100%. I think England they've got Japan, Chile, and Samoa. Japan are no threat, and neither of the other two. So it's between England and Argentina. So if my prediction is England are going to come top of that pool, beating Argentina in the deciding game of that group. I cannot see England in a World Cup losing to Argentina. It doesn't matter how good Argentina have been. England are going to top that pool.
Guys, like, you want to get annoyed on the pod? Like, if we're gonna use the precedent of World Cup history with England, can we use it with the pods? Like, I understand. Like,
No, Taddy, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. That's
no.
irrelevant.
I mean, look, I'll give England credit in saying that I think England's the sort of team once they get past the quarterfinals, they are dangerous, and I think the belief in that. I think one of the things people fail to notice is, I think, if we're drawing similarities here, you're looking at teams like, I think, England, South Africa, and maybe New Zealand, who have kept most of their teams from the 2019 World Cup. So England, if they get to the quarterfinals, have Owen Farrell, Carl Sinclair, if you can remember the final, Itoje, Ben Youngs, all those guys that played in 2019, they're going to be up and ready for that occasion. And I think England, if they manage to get past Argentina and, carry on that winning form, could be dangerous.
100%. I mean, there'll be players in that 2019 team that will have nightmares from that 2019 World Cup, knowing how they got destroyed in that final. They've probably been kicking themselves the last 4 years. They will be hungry to win this World Cup. And I think their pool stage is going to be a nice settler going into it, trying to find their system, trying to find their young players in the squad. But yeah, I think that Samoa game in particular might be quite a hard game, knowing they're playing a physical team. And England traditionally have not done well against physical teams.
Honestly, if you're England, you could beat Argentina, and I think rotate your team from there. Japan, I think most people's just history now. They haven't been playing well recently. But with England, if I'm honest, as soon as they're beating Argentina, I'm saying you maybe give Marcus Smith a run at 10. You try out different combinations in the backfield. You give Arundel a start. Mix things up, because you're not. Why would you risk injuries against Samoa, Japan, all those teams? It's not worth it. England, I think, have a plethora of players that would be useful to get game time for them. That's what I personally think.
This for me is where I think I might disagree with you a little bit, Taddy, because I think we can all agree that England aren't in their best patch. They're not in a good deal of form.
Yeah.
And I think what England need is to have a consistent team playing throughout the pool stages so that they get more comfortable playing as that group. Because England over the last 4 years, I'd say, have rotated probably more than most other tier 1 teams in world rugby. So you kind of need to find your 15, stick to it, build momentum with that 15, with that 23.
Rohan, I heavily disagree. I think they've actually been lacklustre over from Eddie Jones going into this second or third year in the cycle, just picking off favourites and reputation. He has not been cycling through the young players. I think they've got too many old heads in Elliot Daly, Johnny May, still cooking in that squad. And I don't think it's been healthy for England over the last 4-year cycle.
Can I also add, going into the next point, sort of leaping into the next point a bit about whether England can make top 2. This World Cup, mark my words, I think, having thought about it recently over the past week, I don't think it's going to necessarily be won by the best team. It's going to be won by the team that keeps the most fit, right? If you look at teams like Ireland, South Africa, Scotland, New Zealand, France, heavy games all the way up to the quarters. New Zealand opens with France. They've got Italy. South Africa opens with Scotland. They got Ireland. Then they've got a physical Tonga side. They get to the quarterfinals, New Zealand or France. You make it out there, you're going to have England or Australia. England right now, I think going to that World Cup should not be risking injuries. The main advantage they're going to have over the teams on the left side of the pool, Group A and Group B, is fitness. And it's going to be, and I think...
But hang on. I want to raise a key point though, right? World Cups, we saw it in 2019 where England, had a fairly easy route to the final, played a hard team, in New Zealand, and then had to play another hard team in South Africa. I don't think they had these pool stages to almost like toughen themselves up before going into the big quarterfinals and the semis. So I think for England, it's going to be a question of can they put on a stellar performance against all their group stages and play them like they're the quarterfinals and semis? Because I think it's going to be like they're going to be asleep going into those quarters and semis.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll disagree with you in saying this. If you look at the 2019 World Cup, if England played how they played against New Zealand, against South Africa, they win the World Cup. But you don't replicate performances. That England performance against New Zealand is arguably one of, if not the greatest World Cup performance of all time. We're talking about the 2-time champions being dismantled, beaten at their own game. But you can't, I think it's so hard to replicate high-level performances 2 weeks in a row. We're seeing it now. This is arguably, I think, in my opinion, one of the most inconsistent periods of rugby, which is why I think you look at teams like France going year unbeaten, which is so incredible. So if I'm an England coach, I'm prioritizing fitness personally. That's what I'm going with.
Both good points, but moving on to the next one, and we're looking at England playing in the pool stages and then potentially playing even more games. What is their biggest asset for them, and what should their playing style be to win these games?
I think their biggest asset will be around that 10 shirt. And I think their structural biggest asset will be, like Taddy said, how fit they will be. And also, I think their driving more set piece will be written home this World Cup and how good it is still in that top 4, top 3 conversation. I think a lot of England's tries from the Six Nations previously have come from mauls, from Jamie George peeling off the back, and it's come from their power game, like Manu Tuolangi picking off the base in the semi-finals, for example. I think that's their biggest asset. They need to go back to their old traditional way with the likes of Arundel on the wing with Joe Cocker and Singer having that expansion. I think that's the style they're going to have to go with. I think that's the biggest asset.
Taddy, I'll let you make your point in a second, but I just want to say one thing what Kieran said. I think in the pool stages, our set piece, our defense, our kicking game, like Kieran said, mainly focusing on that set piece, we can wipe out everyone in the pool stage playing that way. Once you get into the knockouts, and you're looking at teams like South Africa, France, Ireland, playing teams like this, I don't think we have a better set piece than them anymore. I don't think we can dominate them in line out and scrum. I think that's when we're going to have to be a bit more clever, maybe resort to a kicking game with Farrell, back our defense, play the territorial game, but then we're also going to have to attack as well, because we're not going to be getting the scrum penalties and line up purchase from mauls that we're used to when we come against an Ireland, France, and those sorts of teams.
I think England, looking at the Six Nations, I think we were overly harsh on England's pack. The biggest weakness England had in their pack was Courtney Lawes was missing, Sam Underhill was missing. That means I think with Sam Underhill missing, and I believe Tom Curry was missing as well, England only had one jackal threat in Jack Willis, and they had no 8 as well. Don Brandt, probably one of the worst campaigns from an 8 I've ever seen. I don't necessarily think the front 3 is as bad as people are making out to be, but I don't think England are going to win through their pack. I still think Argentina right now has a stronger pack than England. I don't think England's pack is a top 5 pack right now, or a pack that's going to win you a test match. You're going to have to rely on your backs if you're England.
Going off pure nostalgia, we know when England last won the World Cup, Johnny Wilkinson was the guy. He was the hero. Yeah. Is there a player in this England team that you can look at and say, he's that guy in a big moment to win us the World Cup? Is there anything that I think, in my personal opinion, is Owen Farrell. I think he has that in him to be that kind of player, that winning conversion, that kind of that kind of grittiness to him. So I think it's Owen Farrell. What do you guys think?
Well, for me, I genuinely would have, and you're going to call me crazy for this, I would have called it Zach Mercer. If he was selected for the World Cup, I would say Zach Mercer's that guy. Like, obviously you're going to say that that's stupid or whatever. We'll never know because he's not going to play. With Zach Mercer gone, and Farrell's another one of those players. He's probably going to be the one to take the winning kicks or the big penalties. But in open play, I just really want to see someone in that back row step up. I really want to see someone in that back row, like a Ben Earl, maybe Jack Willis, Tom Curry finding his form again. That's what I think it will make the difference for England.
I'm going to slightly agree with Rohan, and I'm going to say two players. I think Jack Willis has the potential. Big turnover in the last few minutes. I think in the Six Nations, he cemented himself in that England jersey. And I'm also going to say, as much as Lando, I'm also going to say Freddie Stewart in a weird sort of way. I feel like Freddie Stewart, right, is one of the most solid rugby players. I know I talk about him and his lack of flair, but he's the sort of player in a quarterfinal, semi-final, when you're playing against a kicking team, you know he's not going to drop the ball and he's going to be a solid option. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to say Freddie Stewart has the potential to win England the game, and Jack Willis as well.
And that's why I'd say that Freddie Stewart is so promising, because I think if you have Freddie Stewart at the back, teams have to sort of change the way they kick. And if you change the way you kick, then you have to change the way you play. You look, I know France put 55 points on us, or however many points they put on us. But when in the build-up to playing England, they had to completely restructure the way they exit, restructure the way they kick, because of the threat of Freddie Stewart under the high ball.
So this leads on to, we're talking about names, and obviously there's a lot of names flying around the England team that could be in there, could not be in there. A lot of players dropped that we thought could be in the squad. Yeah. Who is our starting 15? So let's go through it quite quickly. But who's our starting 15? Do you go Genji at 1, set in stone, no questions asked? Yeah. Jamie George at 2, and then Sinker at 3.
Yeah, no questions.
Set in stone.
Yeah.
Second row, Toje still got a spot in the second row. Yeah. And then with him, you're either looking at a Chesham, or if Laws is still comfortable to play second row, I'd much prefer Laws to be there with a Toje.
There's better back rowers. I'll probably pick a Willis or Tom Curry in the back row over Courtney Laws. I probably would. I think Courtney Laws is that number 5 for England.
Well, actually, do you know what? I think for me, this is where it comes down to the team that you're playing. If you're playing a team with a very strong line out, you might want to go with a Laws at 6 just for that third line out option, because none of our back row really are very good line out options. So the question is with
that though, if you go Laws at 6 and Jack Willis is staying at 7, you don't miss out on Curry. You miss out on Curry.
Unless you get rid of Curry and put Willis in, and then get rid of Willis, put Curry in, and have Willis coming on for the last 20 minutes.
I think where Laws is good, he's not a jackal threat, and I think, in my opinion, Jack Willis is a better jackal threat than Tom Curry to break down. So I would go Laws at 6 with Chesham at 5, and I'd go Jack Willis at 7, and then I'm going 8, Billy Vanapola / Don Brown. But it's such a mid number 8 position.
Yeah, England back row significantly weakened by Billy Vanapola there. Like, there's not a lot of options for England, but Billy starts, doesn't he?
Okay, well, this leads on to the backs. I think England have lacked to the backs over the last probably year or so. It's been one of their weak points. So at 9 is a varied option. We haven't got a standout 9, which a lot of teams, other teams have. So where are we going with 9?
I would say, off of talent alone, our best scrum half is Danny Care. Our best scrum half in that squad is Danny Care. You have the choice between Danny Care, Ben Youngs, and Van Portfleet, and I will take Danny Care.
I'm saying in a World Cup where you need experience, I'm looking at in terms of a 9 and 10 combo. I'm going to go solid. I'm going to say Ben Youngs and Farrell start 9 and 10. That's what I think. Care if Smith was starting.
I'm 100% agreeing with Taddy. I think, look, if Alex Mitchell was in the squad, it's a tick box and get the rest out. The difference is with Ben Youngs, he's been there, he's done it, he's got us to a final. And I think Ben Youngs, as much as he is slow and he's sluggish, but he has an excellent box kicking game, which I think he needs to be that 9 for us. And I think he paired up with the likes of Owen Farrell, who can take control, both 9 and 10. I think, that's our 9 and 10 come the World Cup.
Just quickly, I want to argue that, as I said, I don't think our set piece can challenge maybe the top 3-4 teams in the world. And when you have these top 3-4 teams in the world can defend better than anyone else as well, in a knockout game, I think you need that something different to break a defense down. And if you look at the way Danny Care's played over the last 2-3 years, his attacking kicks have really opened up the game. And I think that's the something different that we need in a knockout game.
Danny Kerr is a very prime example if he can snipe round the breakdown. And I think that's what England have been missing. They've been missing that kind of electric kind of scrum half to pick gaps. So I can see Rowan's point is very, very strong. Moving on to the centres, what do we think?
Oh, you know what it is, yeah? I'm gonna sorry, I know I said Farrell 10. I'm gonna give Rohan some props here because I think he might have convinced me. I'm saying Farrell Ford. Ford-Farrell because, and I'll explain. Ford-Farrell, arguably England's second best ever centre pairing. You're looking at a centre pairing that tore up, arguably, like, I think one of the most underrated All Blacks teams of all times. And since 2019, have England had a centre pairing as good as that? No, they haven't. I don't think Tuolangi starts in there. And yeah, so Ford-Farrell.
Who's your 13? Who's your 13?
Lawrence.
Okay. So for me, I would go Lawrence at 12, no questions asked. And I'd go Slade being at 13 because I think Slade, and this is a crazy opinion, might be. I think Slade is a lot more valuable to England than a lot of other people actually realise. He's a very big asset, and I think a lot of people.
But one thing I would say about Slade, I genuinely think Slade's best role is coming off the bench. I think he can cover a number of positions, which is something that we need.
Utility back.
And I'd say that there's also better options in the centre. I get that Slade is valuable and he can open up a game, but I'd rather he come on and open up a game with the last 20 minutes.
Like Scotland. Scotland. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our centre partnerships, what we all think. The big question is, and how important the back three is, especially nowadays with kicking, we have to go with a strong back three. I think in my opinion, you go Anthony Watson on the left, Joe Cocker-Singer at 14, Stewart at 15, and if people are going to ask about Arundel, for me, he is the 23. I think he comes on late stage of the game like he did against Australia.
I'm going to disagree again, and I'm going to say Max Malins. I'm going to agree with your back three. As much as I've hated on Cocker-Singer, you need a power winger. And I think it makes up the back three again. And I think Cocker-Singer is a great ball carrier. Fine. I'm happy with the starting back three. Max Malins has to be in that 23 through some way, shape, or form. We saw how we ended up the season last year. I'm saying if he's not starting, fair enough. Cocker-Singer and Anthony Watson are better options. It's criminal if he's not in that 23, Kieran. That is criminal.
Again, I think if you're going to go with Max Malins, you might find this unpopular, but I would just rather go with Elliot Daly because he has more options than a Max Malins. He's got the left boot, he's got a longer range kicking game, and he can slot into the middle as well, better than Max Malins can.
The thing I have an issue with Max Malins, he is alert, and he can sometimes get on the end of quite a few little tries, right? But saying that, Elliot Daly has more to his game, and it pains me to say that because he's been a full-back for England in 2019. But Elliot Daly will come on, and he is that kicker in the late stages of the game to nudge over a 50-meter kick. That's why he's important. Both of them are pretty mid, I'm going to be completely honest. But if I have to pick one, Elliot Daly.
Yeah. And in terms, just on the Joe Cocker-Singer point, I think Stewart and Watson start, no debate. But that Joe Cocker-Singer, I think we use him for certain games. As you said, our number 8 is weak. We don't have that go forward ball, so we need another ball carrier on the pitch somewhere. Joe Cocker-Singer can be that. But at the same time, I think Joe Marchant is a more well-rounded winger, as in he's good. He's better under the high ball. Defensively, he's less of a risk, and he's also a good attacker as well.
So if we had to say, looking at this England team, we made our starting 15 and our number 23 player. Where's a realistic expectation of an English finish? I have my own opinion, but from you guys, what are we thinking?
I'm going to have to back the English. I'm supporting them this World Cup. I think they're going to make the final. And that, I haven't said this. I've kept it quite quiet because I think I'm liking England being under the radar. And I'm saying England are going to make that final. And I think they're going to win the World Cup. Oh, I think they're going to lose in the final. But what I'm saying is I think England are going to make the final, 100%.
I'm saying I just see England ending up in a third place playoff. And I think they'll end up in a third place playoff against either Australia or Argentina.
You know what it would be, right? I've talked about the inconsistency of teams like Ireland and France. And I'm saying right now, as stupid as it may seem, I think England beat them in a World Cup semi-final. I think if you look at England as a team and the experience they have in big moments, they have more experience than an Irish team, more experience than a French team. And as I said, I'm going back to the factor of fitness. I promise you guys now, fitness will be the most crucial thing. If England manage to top their group and get a Wales game in the quarterfinal, whoever they're playing in the semi-finals are an automatic disadvantage because England are going to the semis. probably having to exert less energy. I think England could make the final. I think they have the potential to make the final and probably lose in the final. That's what I'm going to say.
Be sure of it. Kieran and Taddy are both saying England are making the finals and finishing second.
I'm gonna say making the finals just because of the route they have. Like Rohan, South Africa in 2019 had one of the best routes to go to the final. Like routes make a World Cup, don't they? It's not necessarily about the best team winning, it's about who has the easiest route and all those other factors. So England will make the final.
Okay.
So we have concluded our England team, where we think they're going to finish, their key assets, their key players. That has been us to break down. Thank you for joining. The next team we will be doing is South Africa next Tuesday, 5 o'clock. Stay tuned. We have one more thing to announce, and that is the winner of this YouTube England's preview of the World Cup. And Taddy, please take it away.
I'm pleased to announce that Gary Mackle, you have won the giveaway. Congratulations, mate. Well done. You're going to receive a nice little prize from us.
So if you want to be in a chance to win the next giveaway in the South Africa video, the France, Ireland, etc., head to our Instagram. On our recent post, you will see it. Tag 3 friends in the comments and make sure you repost to your story with a tag, but you'll be looking out for our post in a chance to win the next giveaway next week.